Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test. Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test.
DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. From the pages of its DX Monitor Member Bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the Gulf South
To your corner of the world.
this is DX Central Live.
Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. Good evening, my friends, and welcome to another night of Live DX and a whole lot more. Man, we got some stuff to talk about this week. a lot to get to. It's been a great week. Not as productive as I wanted it to be on this beautiful range of 1300 to 1330. But did get some new stuff and hit an important goal this week. So I got some stuff to talk about there. Some stuff that I've been shooting for. So we'll be getting to that, and obviously your shout outs as well. And we got new gear running here at in Mandeville. So we'll talk about that. Some of the new gear that we've got up in the air and some of the new gear that we got running, and we're actually going to show it to you in operation tonight. Very excited about that. Looks like I'm a little out of focus, aren't I? Let's fix that. There we go. Is that better? Can you see me better now? Let's see. We got a new frequency range coming. We got a new article that I just put out in the Spectrum Monitor for the April issue. We're going to talk about as that pertains to AM DXing. We're going to touch on some FM auto logging and why everyone should be doing it. I mean, everyone, even if you aren't really like into FMDX, if you've got an SDR that you can, use for auto logging, like an AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, they're not super crazy expensive. And you'd be surprised at what FM stations you can actually receive, even when you're not doing anything, when they're just kind of running. So we're going to talk a bit about FM auto logging using RDS decodes and why everyone should be doing it. Everybody needs to be doing RDS decode auto logging with the upcoming FMDX season. So I'm going to plead my case. This is Les Rayburn and I were on this this mission to get everybody auto logging their RDS decodes. So we will talk about that, and then we've got our new frequencies of the week. And I sat down last night and planned out the rest of our season here, and so we got just about 7 more episodes left. I guess 6 more, including tonight. So we'll be wrapping up on May 3rd for this season of DX Central Live. That's Friday, May 3rd, and so we'll be doing our final episode of the season there and getting ready to gear up for FM season and summer AM, which, trust me, it's not that bad. It's work. It's a challenge for sure, but it can be very productive and very beneficial to your logbook. So we're gonna get ready for that transition here as we get closer to May. So mapped out the rest of our challenge frequencies for the rest of the season. Got those put together, and we've got some good stuff ahead. We've got some grinding. I told you there's gonna be some grinds ahead. Well, we got some grinds ahead. Some of the stuff that we've got planned here for us for the last 6 weeks or so, or 5, I guess about 5 weeks of the challenge. It's gonna be pretty fun. So we'll talk a bit about what we got coming up in our next range. It goes live here at the top of the next hour, not this hour, the next hour. We'll talk about that. First, though, let's go ahead and introduce the new piece of gear that we have here at our disposal here at DX Central. It's actually Mom, DB4 GVH Gail Van Horn, Shortwave Central. Has had that blog up for a very long time, since the early 2000s, I think. And so Shortwave Central, if you type in Shortwave Central in Google, it'll be the first thing that you see is her blog. It's amazing SEO that she has there. So we actually put up a Kiwi. You guys have heard, I've been talking about putting in the Kiwi SDR up. So the Shortwave Central Kiwi SDR is now up. It's live and it is operational from here in Mandeville, Louisiana, just around the corner from my house over there. I'm kind of pointing in the general direction. You can't tell, but over there is where Mom's house is, just around the corner. And did some work on that this week to get the new antenna that goes with that up. It is a formidable antenna on Latin American DX. I'll put it that way. It's oriented at 330 degrees and 150 degrees. Predominantly, it's going to stay in that 150, looking south, so that we always have kind of a southern facing antenna at our disposal here. And plus, Mom is really big into the tropics, the shortwave DX down south. Every once in a while, we might swap it up north and see what happens and what we get. Maybe that gets her into Asia on the HF bands a little bit better. Gets us into some Northwest stuff, Pacific Northwest, Idaho, things like that. So we might do that every once in a while, but predominantly we'll be using this in a southern configuration. It is 26. Now, let me start. Let me back up. It is 10 feet off the ground. Okay. The base wire is 10 feet off the ground, raised up, using some insulators and some standoffs, some plastic standoffs on 2 trees on either end. 72 feet long from end to end. It's 10 feet off the ground, and then from that spot 10 feet off the ground, it goes up. The apex of this CAS antenna is 25 feet. So it's actually at 35 feet, the apex up in this tree, way up. But from the base wire to the apex of the antenna is 25 feet. So it's a 26 feet by 72 foot CAS antenna pointing towards the south. Fed with a Wellbrook FLG 100LN amplifier, terminated on the back side on the null side with a variable resistor. And what I've tried to do, and I'll be making adjustments to it as we go along constantly, but I tried to kind of dial in. I found about 4 or 5 beacon frequencies for Latin America, and I tried to give the best resistance value in there on that variable resistor that would give us the best null on each of those beacon frequencies. So like 1510 for Ecuador, I think 810 for Colombia, 770 for Colombia, 550 for Honduras. So a couple of these that I kind of use as my beacon frequencies. I really kind of dialed in the resistance on those to make sure that we got a nice null from the front on the north side to bring down the domestics. You're not going to hear a ton of domestics. I was dialing through the other night. It was almost everything was Latin America in some form. Mexico, Cuba, Colombia, Honduras was in there. Ecuador was in there. So there's a lot of Latin American stations when you listen to this. And we're going to actually do our top of the hour sequence here at the top of the hour on the new Kiwi. And it's early still. It's, you know, not even close to being dark outside. So it's still really early. So we're going to maybe get a little bit of domestic action in here. So it may not be exactly where it's going to be in an hour or two, but at night, this thing is a beast. And yes, it's public. Yes, there are going to be 2 connections available for people to jump on and listen to. So if you're trying to hear some Latin American stations, you want to compare to what we have here and compare to the antenna, or just hear what's going on down here, this will be an SDR that you can take advantage of. So we'll be putting the link for it here in the chat here in a bit once we do our first session with it and opening up so everyone can jump in. There'll always be 2 slots available for Mom and I to use, so we have those guaranteed. And then everyone else can jump on those other 2 slots. So let's take a look now at our first DX Central Live session on the Kiwi. We're going to talk about the Kiwi tonight because there's some folks who aren't really familiar with them and the interface and all the ins and outs, what you can do with it. So we're going to talk about that tonight and kind of introduce that for you. So first, before we do anything else, let's fire off that top of the hour alert. Hit them sirens, Bill. And this hour of Live DX is brought to you by National Radio Club, ircaonline.org. All right, so let's do this. I'm sorry, nationalradioclub.org. I got the wrong one there. So here's the lay of the land. I'm going through as I go along, and I'm trying to add these little labels here so that you can kind of see. The ones that are bolded are locals here in New Orleans, and I'll put in the call sign and who it is, and then I'm also going through and trying to label out what you might typically hear on a typical night. This can be just a process to go through all those frequencies. So let's start here on 1330 here, and let's go.
Students who need somebody. They can trust someone, and it could be the first person they've ever trusted in their life.
Communities and Schools is lowering America's dropout rate by helping more than 1.3 million kids every year get whatever they need to succeed in school.
If something was going on
so this is 1330 here. This is probably more than likely
for me when everyone else had lost hope.
You can help change the picture of education right here in your community and across the nation.
In Pensacola is my guess is probably who that is most likely. It could also be KVOL in Lafayette.
Kid, but I think that we can.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy.
Oh, there's a sign-off. So you see, we just witnessed that right there at the top of the hour. Cut right off. So that was probably WEBY, because we're right up on their gray line. They're 25 kilowatt daytime. Let's go down to 1920 and see what we've got here, or 1320 rather, and see what we got. Picayune, Mississippi.
Has a nice selection of new and used trailers, fifth wheels, and motorhomes. Please go to our website, pawpawsniceprice.com, and see multiple pictures of our entire inventory. Pawpaw's Campers, having fun, selling fun.
Welcome to the river, where education meets excellence. Join
So that's going to be the RJW Picayune.
into our lively campus.
Let's take it down to 1310.
Join clubs.
Wait. Oh, I thought maybe I was looking at the wrong one. Let me go down here to 1300. Not really in yet. Although that Spanish that you hear, that's WQBN in Temple Terrace, Florida, just outside of Tampa. So this is a station that we've been hearing pretty frequently this week on 1300 on this south-facing wire, especially. Kind of threw me for a loop. I thought it was a station in Mexico because I heard a Mexican national anthem on 1300, and then this station kind of faded up after that. I thought it was the same station. It wasn't. Let's take a look now at 1310. Let's go back to 1310 and see if KTCK is coming in yet. So yeah, this Kiwi has already paid off some dividends, and I'll explain that to you here in a few minutes. Jacob mentioned it in the chat there, but we're going to talk about some of the dividends this has already paid for us. That's probably WJUS in Marion, Alabama. We heard them earlier this week. I'm pretty sure we did. Let me double check that, make sure I'm not forgetting stuff. Oh, no, I didn't. Bart got them. I have not got them this week. I've heard them before, just not this week. Let's see if we can do it. Hey, Mike P. I gotta keep you guys separate. Mexico Mike P's in the house. It's pretty weak. I'm pretty sure that's who that is, though. Is WJUS. Let's go back to 1330. Actually, let's take a gander here. I'm on the west wire here on the Perseus. Let's see what the Perseus has. A little bit different, right? It's a little bit different look here. Okay, so that's definitely Lafayette. That's Me TV FM doing their brand of oldies, which has actually been enjoyable to listen to. But that's KVOL in Lafayette. What's on 1320? Let's take a gander. More than likely, it's going to be RJW in Picayune, Mississippi. That's our usual dominant here. They usually do country and western, so someone's doing a baseball game, it sounds like, right now.
What I've noticed, we've both watched him for 3 years now play. This will be his 4th year to play with several of these kids that started since freshman. And he's always had a big arm, always, had a pretty good curveball. But something I've noticed this year is he's
softball.
not making as many mistakes when he gets 0-2, 1 and 2. That was one of the things that he would do as a younger pitcher.
Could be some Southern Mississippi softball.
To the plate 1-2 or 0-2 and give up a lot of hits. And I've seen him become a smarter pitcher, this year. So that's something that I've been.
And so we've got the Perseus up tonight. We've got the Kiwi we showed you a few minutes ago, and we've also got our Air Spy still here. We've got our Air Spy HF Plus Discovery. This has got our 15-degree Superloop on it right now, pointing up towards the northeast-ish. So let's take a gander and see what we might have here. Mute it. Right. Come on now. Oh, I know why. Maybe I don't. Why is that not giving me no audio? Should be. So I've got audio coming from there. It's just weak. Can you guys hear that at all? Can you guys hear that audio? I have this on a new setup now. Okay, you cannot. Okay. Let me do... I think I would need to change the routing on this audio for this device. Bear with me 1 second. Is that coming through at all now? No, it doesn't look like it. Well, that's interessante. So I'm gonna have to play with that a little bit to figure out the route. Because like I said, I just changed the audio routing here on the Air Spy. I moved it over to my Surface Pro 6 this week to free up some more room on some other things on my USB ports. So we'll play with that a little bit, see if we can figure that out. All right, so let's. That's not what I was trying to do. Let's do a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do some more live DX. We've got your shout outs to get to. We've got to talk about the Kiwi and what we've got set up on this new Kiwi SDR, and kind of how to use it. Some of the interface little things, little tips and tricks about using Kiwi SDRs. This will be helpful for you, not just using ours. It'll also help you using any Kiwi SDRs that you might be using. Mike Jeziorsky, Mexico Mike J, has a Kiwi SDR now up and running down in Mexico. So you're probably going to want to use that if you're trying to find some stuff down that way. So if you are a person who is interested in using Kiwis, we're going to talk a bit about the interface, some different things you can use to help you with your DX, and do that to maybe compare to what you're hearing at home, or just do a DX session from anywhere around the world. That's one of the things I like to do. The one up in Indiana, man, I love that Kiwi. That's an amazing Kiwi. I'll just go up there sometimes and just DX off of that and just listen to see what all I can hear, and it's amazing what Mr. Hawkins gets up that way. So all right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, more live DX heading your way on DX Central Live.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by
Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. From the pages of its DX Monitor Member Bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
I figured out the AirSpy issue. I didn't have the audio turned on the interface. Oh! That'll do it. That will do it. It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana, and we are cooking up some DX tonight on the AM band, and we are looking at a couple of different areas. We're looking at our Perseus SDR with our Superloops. We've got an AirSpy with a Superloop. We've got our Kiwi SDR with a CAS. So let's talk a little bit about Kiwis here, and kind of what makes them so special. What you can really do with them, and whether you have a Kiwi or not, it doesn't matter. You can participate in the Kiwi experience, even if you don't own a Kiwi. So let's go here now real quick to screen 3 here. So KiwiSDR.com, this is where you want to go. It's just learn more about Kiwis in general. Again, this doesn't even have to be if you have one or not. You don't have to own a Kiwi to do this stuff. The only thing you would be able to do differently if you own a Kiwi is have access to your radio anywhere in the world, right? And you're making that radio available for others to participate and listen to your local area from anywhere in the world. Okay. All right. So the first thing we'll talk about here, if you go to KiwiSDR.com, the first thing we'll talk about is how to find stations, how to find station or a Kiwi SDR setup, and that can help you out. So there are a couple different ways you can actually access these. The list is one if you kind of want to go through the whole list of them, but more than likely you're using the map. So if you go to KiwiSDR.com, click on the map link right there, bookmark this sucker. You're going to want to have this. It brings up a screen that looks like this. every one of these little markers that you see here is a Kiwi SDR. I think there's over 700 of them right now. They just started releasing out their second version of the Kiwi. They had a Kiwi out for a while. They stopped production. There was a chip shortage and all kinds of other stuff going on. So they quit making them. Now they've resourced some of their stuff. They've made a couple of slight tweaks to the design. And we now have our second iteration of the Kiwi SDR out there. This one that we just got up running this week was from production run 1. They just are shipping out production run 2, and they're about to start selling soon production run 3. And we're going to try to get one here at DX Central for our shack to put one of our Superloops on. So we'll have 2 SDRs here in Mandeville. Each one will give us a little bit something different. So again, I'm using my scroll wheel on my mouse here. I'm just going to scroll in to kind of zoom in, and you'll see each of these SDRs that are out there. So if you kind of hover over the little marker, you'll see what it is. Like there's ours, Shortwave Central Mandeville. Gives you a little information about it. In this case, I put on there what antenna we have. You'll see the signal to noise ratio score. What that really is basically telling you is, in a general sense, how strong the signals are compared to the noise, right? Don't get bent out of shape on these SNR scores. Some I've seen a couple. I was actually on one the other day. They have the top SNR score at the time. It changed the other day as daylight happens and nighttime. Right now we're getting into better scores. This number is going to go up as we go into the night. But I was on the one at the time that was number 1 in the world. Great signal to noise ratio. Had QRM, had noise on their SDR. So it's not all about the score. It's an indicator. It can help you find out, how noisy is it in the overall environment, maybe, and how strong the signals are that are coming in. When we first got this up, I was using a different amplifier, and it wasn't very, very strong. The signals weren't very strong, so we had a real low number. But now this will get up to 37, 38 tonight. Usually is where it usually kind of lands, somewhere between 35 and 38, and then it starts to back off again. So as you're going through, so let's say one of the more popular ones in the world, especially in our neck of the woods, is this one down here in Bonaire, Trans World Radio Bonaire. A lot of folks will like that. So I just click on the little marker, click on the link, and that brings me to this. Now, this means that all of their spots are currently filled. There's usually 4 receivers, and in most cases, there's different scenarios. You can set it up different ways. Most folks, ours included, are set up for 4 receivers. Now, 2 of those are set aside for myself and for Mom. So that leaves 2 kind of public receivers. A lot of times you'll have maybe 1 that is a password protected, or 1 that they kind of reserve for themselves, and then they open up with the other 3 for everybody else. So that's, it'll vary. Sometimes there'll be time limits on there. So after 30 minutes, if you don't do anything, it'll kick you off. Some have time limits, like you can only use it so many times in the 24-hour period. We didn't do that. We do have the inactivity time limit, but not like the overall, like, if you use it 10 times, in the 24-hour period, that's fine. Use it as you need to. Don't be discourteous to everybody else. But let me take you guys to one of my favorites here. This is Indiana, Central Indiana's SDR station. This thing is amazing. So you'll click on it, brings you to something that looks like this, the Open Web RX play button. And now let's just go find the 570. So that's probably to be NAX. He hears NAX daytime from Indiana on this thing. It is a 240-foot tall tower that he's coupled a W6 LVP loop to that 240-foot tall tower. He hears amazing stuff because he's already at 32 dB signal to noise ratio here. So this is the entire band. Let me mute this for a sec. So what you see here on the screen, this is the entire AM band in this particular case. And you'll see that appear, this little red area. This is MW broadcast. They kind of bake that in so you kind of know where you're at. And so what you can do, I zoomed in originally, I was kind of tight, but you see this little button right here. Looks like 2 sideways arrows kind of going opposite directions. If you click on that arrow, it actually zooms you to the full zoom of the band that you're on. So whatever band you're currently listening to, it'll zoom you out to the full zoom of that particular band. And you can kind of play, you can come in here and you have different modes. Most of the time I'm going to be in SAM, S-A-M. which is like a synchronous AM mode. Most of the time, that's where I'm going to be because that gives me some things that I can do with that mode. I'll explain to you guys in a minute. You may have every once in a while a need to go to like synchronous lower sideband or synchronous upper sideband. If you click on that, every time you click on that mode, it'll take you to a different version of that mode. So sometimes, like if you're trying to get away from slop, you can do that. There's also a lower and upper sideband up here, but they're not synchronous lower and upper sideband. They're just regular old school. Jacob says he almost always stays in SAS mode. Yeah. This is another good one. SAS gives you kind of that kind of stereo feel, kind of like almost like a binaural mode. Would you say, Jacob? QAM here, if you have a stereo CQAM station like we have here in New Orleans on 940 kilohertz, we have WYLD, which uses CQAM stereo, so you can use that to actually decode the CQAM stereo, and it sounds amazing. For the SAM mode, though, what I usually what I'm going to use that for, if I go to the audio tab right here, there's an option down here for a channel null. This operates very similarly in a way, sort of, to the co-channel canceller that's an AirSpy. So you can actually use this to basically null out the strong signal that's there either on the lower or upper sideband side. Depending on how strong that signal is, how wide it is, sometimes that can really help you out, sometimes it's not. Like my locals here in New Orleans, some of them I can really dive it down a little bit. Some of them, they're just too big, too wide, too strong. But you can, like WLAC, I was getting rid of them the other night and getting Ecuador really, really loud. So that is only available to you in SAM mode. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I think it's not in SAS, right? It's not in SAS. Yeah, so it's only in SAM that you can do that. Go back to SAM. Okay, so down here at the bottom is where I found that. There's a little pull down that says normal, and then you'll have a null LSB, null USB. So you just kind of see which one works better for you. And I've found the longer that you keep it on that, the better it does up to a point, and then after a while you kind of have to redo it again, I've noticed. You do have an AM mode here, an AM narrow as well. If you click on it, you'll get AM narrow. There's a DRM for those folks who are maybe listening overseas that have some DRM content over there. A couple of other little things that I'll show you here that I think are very very helpful. So the channel null is there in the SAM mode. You've also got a noise reduction here on this little pull down right here. I usually use the spec. I find that one works the best for me. Play around with it, try whichever one works best for you, but I'll usually use the spec, and then when I put that in, you can click on this more button right here. That'll bring up the controls for you of how much gain you want to use and how much you know, active signal noise reduction you're using. That kind of, you can adjust the sliders to actually kind of play around with it a little bit. So that's one that I will use from time to time, is that noise reduction. It does really clean it up very, very well. It's actually really, really good. Let's see some other stuff. There's a noise blanker as well. You can try the standard in there. Your volume is right here. You got a volume slider. You got a pan slider if you want to go left or right. I usually don't touch that one too much. Sometimes I'll do the volume every once in a while, but usually I don't. Most of the time, this RF slider is going to be locked. It is on ours because we actually have to set our RF gain at a specific value because of all the strong stations that we have in the area. To prevent overloading, I have to kind of add some attenuation in there to get it to the right exact level that I want our strongest signals to be. So you can't adjust the RF gain on most of these stations. You're not going to be able to adjust it, because once you adjust it for one, you're adjusting it for everybody. So that's just that one. The AGC, the gain control is here. I usually going to just leave it on. I don't really touch that very much. You can see who else is on with you on the users. Hey, there's my dog trying to come over here and steal some of my peanuts in my jar over here. 1 second, get away from me. You can see who else is on alongside with you on the user tab. One thing you want to make sure that you do is try to put your name in there. I try to do that as well. Make sure I put my name in. That way, you know, it shows that you're actually a real person. Under the stat area, sometimes you'll see some notifications here. Like on ours, I put a little note in there. So that can be a good thing for you to take a look at every once in a while, as the stat. It can also tell you some things about like GPS locks and stuff like that. You can adjust your waterfalls. I don't really get into this too much. I just kind of let it roll with whatever the default is, unless it's like really wonky. Some of these people have really wonky ones. Maybe they're built more for like the HF bands. So I'll kind of adjust these top two here, the ceiling and the floor a little bit, just to make it something where I can actually use it a little bit better. These buttons right here, these pluses and minuses, you'll see that there's a little 10 right here, right? I can also hit that down to 9, but right now in the 10. So on this one right over here on the far left, if I hit down, that's going to go down 10 kcs. If I go up, it's going to go up 10, up 10. The ones in the middle, this one goes down 1, or goes up 1 kilohertz. Right, so if I want to get like a split, I can do that. And then the one here in the middle, these two go up and down 100 hertz. So it's not a full kill, it's just 100 hertz that it goes and moves there. This spec button right here, bloop, this gives you a spectrum analyzer, so you can actually see like kind of you have the waterfall, and then you have this kind of more traditional spectrum display up here. You can do that for the whole RF. You can also do it just for the audio you're receiving. I typically don't do much with that. You do have a VFO AB switch here. If you want to set, like if you're doing a comparison between, let's say, 1180 for Rebeldy and 5025 shortwave for Rebeldy, you can set those. So I would just like hit the B, go to 5025, come over here, go to 1180, and now I can bounce back and forth to see if what I'm hearing is aligned, right? So you do have an AB if you wanted to use that. This little red button right here is a recording button, so you can actually record. It's just the audio. You're not doing an IQ recording here. You're just recording just the audio on that one frequency that you're tuned into at the time. But if you're wanting to do some sync ups with what you are hearing on your own side, you're doing a recording on your side or something like that, that can be a great tool to use. So that little looks like a reload. I always thought it was a reload button, but actually if you click on that, it's a record button that you can actually use to record what you're hearing. So let me go back to ours here so I can show you some stuff on ours. There is an extensions area right here. There's a bunch of stuff. So if you're tuning in like on 28074 and you want to decode some FT8, you can do that with an built-in FT8 decoder that's in here. Things like that. I also put some stuff here like the iframe on ours. Where's our iframe? It just froze. Refresh. Let me mute this guy. So now if I go to the extension and go to iframe, I put Mom's Shortwave Central blog in here. I'll also, during times where we have storms and things like that, I'll put a live lightning map in here from time to time if we kind of have that kind of stuff going off the coastline. But this is her blog, so you can kind of keep up with what she's doing, and she'll put up stuff that she's hearing and others are hearing and things like that. So just keep up to date with her blog there. When we do our DX Central one, I'll be putting our DX Central Live. When we do our live streams here, I'll be putting that in there. Lightning maps, our logbook will stay in there most of the time, things like that. So you want to look for those extension iframe, and I did put it in the notes when you look at the map, and you just kind of scroll in a little bit, and you hover over our name. It says see iframe extension for important/relevant information. So that's something that's just a little reminder for you. So yeah, that's the main stuff. I think that, you know, you also have this select band right here. So you can kind of band hop pretty easily. Let's see, you can, let's see. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. Jacob, if you think of anything I'm missing here, let me know. If you think if there's anything else that's like super big that I'm missing. You got your S meter down here at the bottom. You'll see ours flashing the attenuation, because like I said, we're attenuating quite a bit. You can slide on your waterfall. You can click and drag it to slide up and down these frequencies like this. You can also click on these little left and right arrows here that'll also do the same thing, but with this way you have a little more fine-tuned control. You can do a full zoom out, bloop, by this button right here. That gives you the full zoom out of everything. The entire 32 megahertz, or in this case 30 megahertz is ours, band that you have. And you can also zoom in all the way down with this button right here, bloop, right down to the signal that you're listening to. Pretty much the full zoom in. This is well, that's not actually as tight as you can get it. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. This is as tight as I can get it down here. So that's pretty tight. Type H on my keyboard. Ah, there we go. Shortcut keys. Yes, thank you. So you have a whole list of shortcut keys that you can use if you want to kind of use those instead of clicking mouse stuff. You have these shortcut keys that you can do for your keyboard just by hitting the H button. That brings those up. Thank you for reminding me of that one. That's the majority of it. So yeah, I think that the big stuff, I'm also using the zoom here on my scroll wheel on my mouse. You can zoom in and out that way as well. Like I said, I'm trying to add labels. Oh, I know one thing I wanted to mention to you. So I mentioned, for instance, WYLD here on 940. So let me just go ahead and just type in 940. So I'm going to go over here. Let me go to WGSO on 990. If you see here, any of these labels, if you click on the label, it actually takes you to that frequency. And that's helpful for you because, like in this case with WYLD, if you click on it, it actually puts it in QAM for you into the CQAM decode. And listen to this. This is amazing. We're going to compare that to just regular AM. That's regular AM. This is really great if you got headphones on right now. And here's the CQAM. Woo. So I put that in here on my my setup on this label, so that when you click on that, it will take you right to that, not only that frequency, but also the mode to be able to listen to them in CQAM. Right click on the waterfall. Yeah, there's a couple things here. You can switch between like the EIBI database, the A23 database in this case for if you're doing shortwave stuff. You can also do like the community database, which I don't think there's a whole lot that I have seen for AM there. There'll be some stuff that people do for like shortwave and stuff like that. You can also use the store database. That's ours that I'm putting in. And Mom's also doing on the shortwave side. She's putting these labels in on her side whenever she comes across stuff. She's keeping those in there. What else did we have on that? With the database lookup? Was that one of them? Oh yeah, it takes you right to medium wave lists. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty nifty. Takes you right to the medium wave list if you go to the right click. And long wave, medium wave database lookup. You can do a screenshot as well. Snap to nearest free to show cursor frequency. Let's see what that one does. I haven't looked at all these options. Oh, so your mouse pointer actually turns into a crosshair with the frequency that you're on for if you're wanting to kind of change your frequency. By clicking on the waterfall, you can you'll know where you're at. I'm either typing mine in, or since I'm doing AMDX, I'm just 10kc at a time up and down here. Like this week on 1300, 1330, that's how I was getting around. But if I'm jumping a big gap here, like 1690, I'll just type it in. That gets me right to it. I think that's what you have a list here of your most recent frequencies that you went to. Also, if you do hold down, you click on the A here for your AB and just click on it and hold, it'll make the A equals B. So both of them equal the frequency that you're on. And then you can go back and say, okay, I want to go now to 1520 and I want to be able to compare between those two. So then you only have to do it once. So true. Okay. So that's the majority of it, I think, just kind of the lay of the land. So the big things I wanted to make sure you guys saw was how to navigate, right? How to navigate frequencies by entering your frequency here is the usual one. You can't also adjust your bandwidth, by the way. That's one thing I did want to mention too, forgot. You can adjust your bandwidth up here. And in most cases, I think they are independent. So if you wanted, like, let's say you had some splatter over here on your right-hand side, you wanted to just get that down just a little bit, but keep it in that SAM or, you know, whatever mode you're in. You can just bring that one side down. You can also bring both down as well. And then you can also click and drag this and that'll move that around. But again, I think usually the easiest way to change your frequencies is just boop. Especially if you have a keyboard with a numerical pad on it. So there you go. This is going to be helpful for you whether you're using ours or not. But again, ours, we have a 330 and 150 degree. Right now it's at 150 degree. CAS, 26 feet by 72 feet, pointing right down to South America. It's actually, when you look at the map, it's right 150 degrees of that line, that border right there at Panama and Colombia. I mean, it's a sweet spot. And these CASs, they're not laser beams, right? They're not super focused on that one line. You're going to get some great signals from that line, right? But you're also going to get some stuff off to the side, because it's kind of that cardioid shape. And so these actually, I found really, especially that right-hand side of the antenna, at least the ones that I've installed for some reason, the right-hand side of these CASs work really, really well. So in that case, when you're looking at it, it's the left-hand side. So everything that 150 degrees from here down to the left. So that's Central America, Mexico. Mexico, I had 1060 XEC PAE here the other night at 50, I think negative 50 dBm. Mike J in Mexico had it at negative 60 on his. He's in Mexico. This thing had it stronger than his. Here. I've never heard Latin America as loud from here in Mandeville as I've heard them on this antenna. So if you're a Latin American aficionado, if you're chasing after Latin American stations, this SDR can be, I think, a beneficial thing and help you out. We've got some beneficial conditions right now. A index has been pretty high. K index has been high. So that might also help us out. Oh, this dog. She wants my peanuts. But there we go. But this antenna and this SDR can also be a resource for you. We get really great conditions into Mexico, Colombia, Honduras is there most nights. Cuba, some nights they're there. Some nights they come in later in the evening. So if you're trying to compare to some Cubans, you can try it and see if it's one of those nights where they're coming in early or not. But yeah, this is a fantastic rig. And if you are looking to get into hosting your own Kiwi, make sure you bookmark kiwisdr.com and look for their announcement that the third build is coming when it opens up for orders, and you can put your order in and you can get one of these. All you need is a power supply, a quiet one. Mine that we put on this one is actually a little iPhone charger, 5-watt iPhone charger. I'm sorry, 20 watt, 5 volt, 20 watt iPhone charger, with a USB-C, USB adapter, and then a USB, it's USB-C into the actual charger itself, go into a USB-A, and then the USB-A to a 2.1 millimeter, I think it is, 2.1 millimeter coaxial DC input, and that's our power supply. Super mega quiet. And then an antenna, you'll need Ethernet connection to your home internet, and it takes care of the rest. You don't have to set up like any kind of forwarding and port forwarding and all the other stuff I've looked into, like our RSPDX and some of the other stuff that we had. It was just super complicated to get it set up and put it online. This one, you don't have to plug it into your computer. You just plug it into the wall with your power, you plug it into your antenna, and you plug it into the Ethernet port, and you're done. And then you've got full controls to be able to manage that whether you're home or not. You have access to it whether you're home or not, and you can set it up however you want. And these are super great, especially if you live in an area that has some, I would say, some beneficial coverage, right? If you're in an area that's not really covered very well by like a quality AM antenna, maybe you might want to consider. I think it was $435 US with tax and shipping and everything out the door. It was $435 for one of these. So they're not cheap, but I think the value that's there, especially in like I said, areas where there's not a lot of coverage, like if we can get some funding in there to get somebody down in Central America with some Kiwis on some good antennas, I will chip in, because that's an underserved area for sure. All right. There's Mike J. What's up, Mike J? Mexico, Mike J. There we go. Let me tell you something about this Kiwi. The first night that we had it up, I hadn't dialed in. It was still pretty weak. It wasn't the Latin flamethrower yet, and I hadn't dialed in the back end resistance yet, so it was still kind of bi-directional. Jacob, airplane engine, Jacob in Minnesota used our Kiwi SDR to hear WODT 1280 in New Orleans for the first time from his location. He was able to compare what he was hearing on 1280, where he has a local. He was able to compare it to what he was hearing from his side, and got WODT. He also got 690 as well. Conversely, while he was doing that, he was like, hey, my local is in your Kiwi. I can hear my local in your signal. And you guys know how I am at Minnesota. I went running and looking, and sure enough, I heard it. There was a match. I was comparing to what he was hearing. So this Kiwi has already been beneficial and helped him and I both log stations that were new. So got a new Minnesota station this week thanks to the world of Kiwi and what we've been able to do. So I encourage anyone who has the means to be able to put one up, or the ability to have a low noise environment and a good antenna. W6 LVP loop is great. Mini whips are great for these things. In fact, I'm still toying with what antenna I'm going to put on mine when I get mine here at the house. Maybe my mini whip, maybe a super loop, maybe I'll just rotate it. I don't know. We'll see. But nice low noise, put it out there. If nothing else, it gives you access to be able to DX from no matter where you are. You don't have to have anything tied into your computer, right? You can DX from your couch. You can DX from your bed. You can DX from wherever you want to be. I've done it on my phone. I can DX on my phone on our Kiwi. I can do it on my iPad over here on our Kiwi. I can anywhere you have an internet connection on any device, you can DX, and it's pretty amazing stuff. All right, let's get to our first round of shout-outs. Shall we do that real quick before we get ready to announce our new frequencies of the week and then do some more live DX? I at least want to get started on some shout-outs here. So, that means I gotta switch over to this guy. Let's make sure the horn's tuned up. There we go. Alrighty then. Yeah, Dennis says it's cheaper than Perseus. It is. Both the old and the new. The new one's ridiculously high. I don't think we're going to have the new Perseus in our shack here. I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. Let me just do a handful of these in the first round, and then we'll get to everybody else here in the second round. I really want to make sure we have time for everybody, because we've already got quite a few in here. Very nice. Let's start with Mesa Mike. Mesa Mike Westfall in Fluvanna County, Virginia. New log. This is a surprise logging of HIDB 750 kilohertz. Radio Jesus es el Señor from Santiago de los Caballeros in Dominican Republic. I hope I got that right, guys. My Mexican guys. I hope I got that pronunciation well. This was heard using the SDR Sharp clear co-channel canceller to cancel the monstrous signal of WSB, and it was right before they went off the air. I'm pretty sure that it was this logging that Mike did of Dominican Republic that got everybody alerted to the fact that WSB was off the air when they went off. They've gone a couple times this week. I know we talked about that last week quite a bit. So new logging for our friend Mesa Mike. There you go, my friend. There is the shout out link for those of you. That's the best I've ever heard. Thanks, man. Thank you. Earl, our friend Earl in St. Louis. Haven't seen him the last couple of weeks. Hope he's doing well. But our friend Earl up in St. Louis did hear Ecuador for a new country on 1510. My favorite Radio Monumental 12. Let's see, in Quito. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. That's country number 21 here under WLAC with another English talker on 1510. No announcements, but easily parallel with their web stream and lively guitar ballads. A real surprise. Listed power is only 3 kilowatts. So that's a new country for him. So we're going to stamp the passport. We're going to look over here and see. Yeah, we've got a nice blank page over here, Earl. So if you want to head on down to Ecuador, there you go. You going. Let's see. What time is it? 44. Okay, we got some time in here. Carl in Kingsport, Tennessee. I don't think you were somewhere else in Tennessee. No, Kingsport. 13 new logs this week. 3 of those were on challenge frequencies WORC in Massachusetts. What dog? There's my dog. WJBB, I think she went to bed as well. WJBB in Georgia, WEBY in Florida, outside the challenge frequencies. WINA Virginia, WXYT in Michigan, WION in Michigan, WCHL North Carolina, KDEI in Texas, WADO New York, KGYN Oklahoma, WQZQ Georgia, WJNT Mississippi, and WFHR for a new Wisconsin. Totals of 713 stations. So we start off with the logs for Carl. Good job, my friend. And I think you were, when we ended the stream last week, I think you were still at $699. So the fact that you're now over 700 means over 700, my friend. And I'm sure you guys caught this, but he cut the cheese this week. There we go. So that's Wisconsin done for Carl. Good job, my friend. Well done. Let's do one more, and then we'll take a break and get ready for our announcement of our new frequencies of the week and another live DX session here. So John in Delaware got some new stuff this week. WLIS in Lansing, Michigan on 1320. 1330 WINT in Willoughby, Ohio. And 1330 WAEW in Crossville, Tennessee. That puts John at 1,267 logs, baby. That's a whole lot of chopping. You better let him chop. Good job, John. All right. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have more DX Central Live heading your way. Including... let's see here. Change that to this, and then we're good to go. Including our announcement of our new frequencies of the week for week 13 of the Medium Wave Frequency Challenge. I think we're week 13, right? And so we'll get to more of your shout outs, some more DX, and a whole lot more. And we're going to be talking FM autologgers in this next hour. So don't go anywhere. More DX Central Live is right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AM/DX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AM/DXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AM/DXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News member bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana on a Friday evening. Yes, Friday evening here of Great DX. Hopefully Great DX wherever you might find yourself this evening. And also you guys have got some weather, some snow, some rain. We've been dealing with that the last day or so. But this weekend, gonna be beautiful. 70s, like 72, 74. Not a cloud in the sky. No chance of rain. Guess where I'll be? Yard work. Yard work this weekend. All right, we got some more great DX heading your way this hour, this next hour. But let's go ahead and do our announcement for our new frequencies of the week, because it's about that time. Yes, sir. We're going back down low. So we are heading back down to the lower end of the AM band, 650 to 680. This is going to be advantageous for several of you, I think, that are looking for Idaho. Maybe on 670 KBOI. Maybe you're looking for them. Maybe you're looking like I am for Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic on 680. I'll be stalking both of those frequencies this week. I would love to be able to bust the Rebeldy wall on 670. But also might spin that CAS north this week at some point to try to get Idaho, because it's pointing right at Idaho, by the way. 330 degrees is right down the barrel of Idaho. So maybe there's a chance. You're telling me there's a chance, maybe. So let me go ahead and that's not what I was looking for. I'm gonna go ahead and publish. It'll be up here on the dxchallenges.com website here in a bit with the updated link and the updated form for you guys to start your entries on. But let's go ahead and here in a second, let me click on this, and then we're gonna pull this to this, and then this is here, and then that is that. Making sure, I thought I had my phone ringing there. All right, so that is updated. So let's go ahead and pull up. Let's do the let's start, yeah, because this is low end of the band, and gonna be some Latin American stuff in here. I guarantee you some Latin American stuff on these new frequencies. Let's start off on the Kiwi. Everybody's favorite WSM. I had a list. I made up on my little dry erase boards I have on my cabinet doors over here. Made a list of all the different things you can hear on these frequencies. It was pretty packed. There's not a lot of stations, but there's a lot of good stuff in this range. There's a lot of really good stuff. We're gonna look at it here in a bit. So we've got WSM with some classic country. Now let's pop it up to 660. So that's 660. My guess is that's Mark Levine, because it's almost 8 o'clock. So that's probably Mark Levine, which means we're probably sitting on KSKY in Dallas area, in Balch Springs, Texas. So you'll also have KTNN as a possibility for folks here. They do sometimes get out east. I heard them in Charleston once, Arizona. Heard them in Charleston. Haven't heard them here. Jacob says, low to the band's a little down tonight. WSCR on 670 is weak. No CJOB on 680. I wonder if that's a foreshadow of conditions to the south. I wonder if that's what that's foretelling, is that we're gonna get some southern enhancement. Let me pull up my solar conditions. A index is 11, K is 0, BZ is a positive 2.4. We need that BZ negative for us to be getting auroral conditions. It's definitely not as stout. Last night we were 27, 28 A index and a K index of 4, so definitely has come down since then. You'll hear some stuff coming in now. Wait a minute. See, 670. There's the rebellion wall. Nice and echoey. And then we have 680. Don't think KSKY would have Levine. Well, that's a possibility. You could be right there. It's not FAN. That could be Fairhope. Or it could be Mexico. Mike Square, do you guys hearing anything down there that is carrying Ray Charles' America the Beautiful? Yeah, that Cuban rebellion wall is brutal, man. Let's fire it up.
Officially over. The weekend begins right now. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, freedom
I don't know who this would be.
all over the world, in Ukraine, and our brothers and sisters in Israel.
So it's Levine.
Good night, Sprite and Griffey and Pepsi. Good night, Zelda, Smokey, Gigi. Good night, Indy. My beautiful Barney, Patton, Rory. Good night, Marty.
This has got to be KSKY.
Good night, Mom. Good night, Leo. Good night, Joe. Good night, Teddy. Good night, Bernie. And good night,
John Boy.
You are listening to 660 WXQW, your news and
Fairhope.
information station. Mobile's new home for news and talk. 660
They changed format.
WXQW.
They changed format. They used to be Black Gospel.
Destination for delicious food served in a vibrant atmosphere.
That's interesting.
Classic Latin cuisine. They take pride in using top-notch ingredients.
That's a new format for WXQW. All right.
Have skillfully blended tradition with innovation to present a menu that is as lively as their ambience. Yearning to escape the heat, wander into their full bar.
They're also on a little late.
Refreshing drinks await.
Is anybody else hearing them? Since they're on a little past their bedtime, so to speak.
Transport you to a tropical paradise. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram for exclusive access to special menu previews. Right now, PS Tacos is teaming up with WXQW to give you a sweet deal. Go to 660WXQW.com right now and click on sweet deals to get 50%
That's an
off
interesting
PS
development.
Tacos
I didn't know they
in
changed
Corner.
formats.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You have to carefully monitor your health.
Already listed as news talk on AMDX. Or yeah, that must have been something that happened recently. I don't come down here very often to them. When I do come down to 660, it's usually later in the night, and they're usually already gone. 670, 680. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that's slop. So we have to go to lower sideband. CNN. So there's WCNN. Yeah, WXQW, I have them logged last the October 3rd of 2021. Black Gospel, WXQW IDs and more gospel. Yeah, so they were gospel station at the time when I heard them almost 3 years ago. I haven't revisited them since. So this is a good example of why it's important to revisit your locals or semi-local stations on a regular basis. And that's part of the reason that we also do the Medium Wave Frequency Challenge, is it forces us to do that. Did WSM relinquish their hold at all? Are they still dominating? Last night I was hearing Progresso here. Yeah, we do have some lightning off the coast still. I'm looking at the map right now. We still have some lightning down there, so that's contributing to some of the noise we're hearing down south. So it might not be a super great southern night, but I do have my west Superloop over here on the Perseus. See, this is why it's important sometimes to have multiple different options, multiple different tools in your tool kit that you can turn to in times like this. What did we catch on the top of the hour on our west Superloop on 660? That AC/DC that we're hearing there, it looks like XQW finally went off the air. That could be, it's either Mexico. KTNN doesn't play like AC/DC, right? Those are like classic country and like southern rock and stuff like that, what I've heard, other than the indigenous stuff. It seems a little heavy for them. Let me go to the live stream here.
May be used for industrial
that's not them.
purposes. And
that's got to be Mexico.
What's been very important in this settlement and negotiating with the
So that's probably, could that be Nuevo Leon? That's my guess. XEFZ is my antenna's pointing right at him. You're not hearing him down there? You're probably getting XEDTL, right? Unless, this isn't Progresso, is it? No. Sometimes you know how they play American stuff on Progresso. So let's ride this out and see. I can fast forward a little bit, I think. Of course. Before they can ID. Alright, now we're back live again. Let me see if I can match this up with that Brownsville SDR. I think I've got it bookmarked, don't I? Where'd it go? I guess I don't have it bookmarked. Man, that's just that Kiwi's not what it used to be. This thing used to be so good, and now it's not. It's pretty deaf and it's noisy. So no matching it from there. Dennis says he's got no WSM. Let's go back to mine.
The judge, members of the Country Music Hall
Yeah, I'm
of
too
Fame
far south
apply,
to have any impact from that.
On the Opry Intermission Show, 8:07. The Opry will resume at 8:16 Central Time. Megan Maroney, beautiful and talented artist, coming up, and I do want to thank our folks.
Don's got him too.
Aero
Pretty loud.
For sponsoring this Opry Intermission Show. They're great people, and please sponsor them as they talk about what they can offer you on WSM at 9.
The signs of spring are all around us.
Let me see if I can
Flowers blooming and pests like mosquitoes, termites, and ants. Luckily, you can take back your spring season with Aero Exterminators and their pest control service. Aero Exterminators is the official pest control provider of the Grand Ole Opry and the Ryman. Luckily, you can take back
I'm on the
your spring
northwest.
season with
That's why.
Aero Exterminators and their pest control service. Aero Exterminators is the official pest control provider of the Grand Ole Opry and the Ryman. Luckily, you can take back your spring season with Aero Exterminators and their pest control service. Aero Exterminators is the official pest control provider of
I
the
should be
Grand
getting
Ole
some
Opry and the
declination here on
Ryman.
this
You can take back
vactrol.
your spring season with Aero Exterminators and their pest control service. Aero Exterminators
Not getting a thing.
is the official pest control provider of the Grand Ole Opry and the Ryman. Luckily, you can take back your spring season with Aero Exterminators
try
and
it
their
here on the
pest
northwest.
control service. Aero Exterminators is the official pest control provider of the Grand Ole Opry and the Ryman. Luckily, you can take back your spring season
Is
with
that them?
Aero Exterminators
It
and
keeps
their
cutting?
pest control service. Aero Exterminators is the official pest control provider of the Grand Ole Opry and the Ryman.
No, that
Luckily,
can't be.
You can take back your
It was that thing the Jaguar does where it keeps putting stuff on a loop. I was like, why is he repeating himself so much? Every once in a while when it changes over to the new DVR recording, it'll sit there and it'll grab a little snippet and just keep looping it, and it throws you off for a second. It'll catch it first. That's why I couldn't get anything on the vactrol. There we go, that's better. What are WSB and WWL doing at your place right now, Sean? I have nothing from either. Oh, I wish I didn't have WWL right now. Okay, so the west wire's not doing much for me here. Yeah, northwest wire's also got them pretty loud. Let us see if we can get our air spy going here and try it out, because we're on the north wire on that. 15 degrees, so it'll be probably pointing right at Nashville, actually. Yeah, pretty close. Probably not really going to help us out all that much, but we can still play around with it and try it. Can you guys hear that? I'm not seeing my meters move on it. But do you have anything on this audio? No? Okay. Let me see if I open up my... No, I don't want to uninstall. You crazy? Focusrite. Flex Control 2. Remind me later. Yeah, I don't know why that's not coming through the interface there. That should be coming through. We'll have to play with that a little bit, a wee bit. Let's go back now and see what do we catch on the top of the hour on 680 on the West Wire. Or I guess the Northwest Wire. The bench says he's studying for his technician class. Good luck, man. Hope you get it. So there's to be MFS Memphis. That's the other one. We get to be CNN in North Atlanta, and we get to be MFS in Memphis predominantly. We'll also get KKYX out of San Antonio on 680 from time to time. Very rarely can we get Raleigh to be PTF. But this week I'm going to be stalking on my southeast and that southern Cas. WBQN in Puerto Rico, because I've heard them before, not here, but in Charleston. And Radio Zamba in Dominican Republic, another one I heard in Charleston, not here. I had a nice saltwater path for both of those, so that's why I probably heard them there. Probably not going to hear them here, but I'll give it a shot. I want those two really, really bad. But yeah, good luck to you, man. Bench, on your studying for the technician class license. Hope to have you in the ham ranks here soon, my friend. And then it's just a quick trip from there. I promise you, you might be thinking you're dabbling your toes into it now, but you will want that general class so fast. You'll want that general, and then once you get to general, you're like, oh man, I gotta get the extra. It just hits you. I mean, I made general, got technician and general both in 04, and then it was 2014, 2015. I think it was 2014. I got the extra. Went ahead and went AE. I couldn't take it anymore in contests, having stuff I couldn't get to, and other people were. I was like, this is driving me crazy. So I went ahead, and plus the challenge of it, of knowing that I accomplished that was a big deal for me too. All right. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking FM autologgers and why you should be using them. Even if you're not really using it for DX, there's a good reason why everyone should be putting an FM autologger up there. We need everybody. We need the country littered, and the world really, but especially the country littered with FM autologgers. We're going to talk about why. We'll come back from our quick break right here on DX Central Live. And of course, this hour of Live DX is brought to you by the IRCA. It's ircaonline.org.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AM/DX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AM/DXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios in Mandeville, Louisiana. And we're doing live DX tonight. And a whole lot more. Let's see, is the new page working? Let me give it a shot. It may not have published. Sometimes WordPress, you schedule it to publish and it's like, That says it's published. And we're going to try to double check and make sure that our link is up and running. That should say 13. It does. Okay. Everything should be there, man. I'm going to do a real quick check and make sure that the page itself is working. Yeah, should be there. I'm looking at the form. I've got my right frequencies. The data analysis looks good. My Mexico Mike J already submitted something, so yeah, it should be good, man. We should be good. WordPress didn't fail me this time. Nice. All right. Let us do some shout outs real quick before we get into our FMDX conversation. There's a few of you that I see in the chat that said you're not into FMDX yet, Bart. We're going to get you there, my friend. Do a little test of the horn there. We're going to get you into FMDX. It is the crack cocaine of DX. It is the hard drug of the DX world. All right. Got that horn ready? Yeah. All right. Let's get here to our friend Bill the Hammer up in Michigan. Dog is just all over the place tonight. I don't know what her deal is, but she is antsy. 15 new ones this week, mostly on the medium wave frequency challenge frequencies this week for our friend Bill Curry, including 600 KSJB in Jamestown, North Dakota. Nice. 770 KATL, Miles City, Montana. Saw you guys getting in on that action. I was so jealous. 1300 KGLO in Mason City, Iowa. WKCY, Harrisonburg, Virginia. WOSW, Fulton, New York. WPDX, Morgantown, West Virginia. WSSG, Goldsboro, North Carolina. WSYD, Mount Airy, North Carolina. 1310 brought KOKX in QQ. I don't know, man. I don't know. Keokuk, Iowa. 1320 brought new ones from Marquette, Michigan, WDMJ, and WKAN, and Kentucky, Illinois. I'm just butchering this stuff tonight. 1320 also brought WLOH in Lancaster, Ohio, probably Lancaster more than likely. Owego, North New York on 1330, WEBO, WESR in Onley, Virginia, 1330, and WWRV in New York. Finally, a nice, easy one. New York, 1330. Rounding out the 15 new ones for Bill this week. So yeah, Bill had all the hard words to say. So let's get Bill the nice Keokuk. We'll get there. Hey, you guys come down here to Louisiana, try to pronounce some of our names. Well, we'll have a challenge there. We'll swap out. First word I'm putting up on the screen is Chapatulas. See what you do with that. All right, Walter Johnson. Good job, Bill. Walter Johnson in Albany. Let's see what Walter did. Got a couple in here. WTLS in Tallahassee, Alabama on 1300, and WOAD in Jackson, Mississippi. Came in this week. WMTM on 1300, Moultrie, Georgia. And let's see, what else did Walter get? Walter got WNQM Nashville on 1300, 442 miles. PCH West Point, Georgia on 1310. Fox Sports. 3 new logs on 1320, all during the early morning hours. WNGO Mayfield, Kentucky. RJW, Picayune, Mississippi. I think that's RJW. And WMSR in Manchester, Tennessee. 1330 that brought WEBY Milton, Florida. ESPN Pensacola. That's my local here. Love hearing them all the time. Looks like that's all the ones we got here so far this week from Walter. So let's go ahead and give Walter a nice big woo. Let's see, that's all those done. Dennis. Man, Dennis has been crushing it. We talked about Dennis's week last week, right? This week he's been either at or near the top of the leaderboard on the medium wave frequency challenge this week. And listen to the week that he had. WDJA Massachusetts on 1300, WDJA Massachusetts, WOSW New York, WDGJ New York, WLNC New York, WSSG North, WLNC North Carolina, WSSG North Carolina, WKPMI Minnesota, WLXG Kentucky, 1310, WDPN Illinois, WBFD Pennsylvania, WYND Florida, WDTW Michigan, WTNZ TZN in Pennsylvania, it says WTRLC. It's one of those in there. Indiana, WICH in Connecticut, and WGH in Virginia. On 1320, CJMR Ontario, WATR in Connecticut, WNG in Florida, WBRT Kentucky, WGOC Tennessee, WCOG in North Carolina, and for a brand new state, WDER in New Hampshire, in Derry, New Hampshire. These are all new logs, by the way. This isn't just what he heard. These are new logs. And on 1330, WRCA Massachusetts, WTKR Illinois, WEBO North Carolina, or New York, WYRD South Carolina, WAEW Tennessee, and WVRV in New York. 28 total new logs this week, and WDER 1320 in Derry for a new state. So we're going to start off with that. And in the logs. And a great week for Dennis. Good job, man. Good job. I got that one in there, and that one in there, and that one in there, and that one in there. Sean, what's going on, man? Let's see how he did this week. Sean's had himself a really great couple of weeks. So let's talk about that. This week, what did Sean do? 17 new logs. Yeah, 17 new logs. 7 from the challenge. Heard 19 total, but 7 new logs from this week's challenge. Nicest logs of the week for him were KATL 770 in Montana, Miles City. It's the loudest he's ever heard Montana. CHAB 800 AM, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. That was a nice week. 17 new logs and Montana and Saskatchewan. Good job, man. Mexico Mike J, help me with pronunciation on that one, man. Your town. I don't want to butcher this. Give me a pronunciation guide, please, in the chat for your town. I'll come back to you. Star City, Arkansas, checking in with Haley. 2 new logs this week, both from Mississippi WOAD 1300 Jackson and WRJW 1320 in Picayune. Very nice, my friend. Mississippi in the house for Boot Crew North. Hurakia. All right. Good job, Haley. Star City, Boot Crew North, making it happen this week. Mike, Mexico Mike J. Hurakia. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that Mexico Mike J down in Mexico has himself a Kiwi SDR. It'd been on the fritz for a while, and he kind of just thought it was kind of a done deal. But did a little work on it this week and got it back up and running. So now we have a really nice SDR, Kiwi SDR down in Mexico in Hurakia. There you go, Hurakia. All right. Hurakia, Mexico. Kiwi SDR is back online for Mexico Mike. So as you look for stations down in Mexico, and you know that I will be, we'll be using that sucker quite a bit. So thank you for that, Mike. Appreciate you getting that up online for us. New captures this week. So that's the new gear category there of the shout outs. Bart in Gray, Tennessee had a great week this week. 9 new captures. Here's a list of the interesting ones. Note the last one on the list was a new capture from Cheeseland. Now at 987 medium wave captures from the location since December of 2021. Damn. Expect to break 1,000 before the frequency challenge ends this season. No, this wouldn't be possible without the miracle of the SDR. My man, you are not lying. 1310 WBFD, Bedford, Pennsylvania. 1310 WJUS in Alabama. That's Marion, the home of the king. That's 1310 WORC in Worcester, Massachusetts. I know that one. Mega Worcester, 106.1. I thought No, I didn't think I had them at all. WPJS 1330 Killers. I thought it'd be nice if I had them, but I knew it wasn't them. WPJS 1330 in Conway, South Carolina. Gospel 1330. WTLS in Tallahassee, Alabama. And WIBA 1310 in Madison, Wisconsin. So, oh, baby. We're going to start with that cheese. You know I'm all about them cheese. You know, I used to not be a big polka guy. I used to hate that stuff, but that song slaps. It's got me bouncing in the chair. And for the new logs, my friend, we get you the chainsaw action. And doop doop. We got a couple more shout outs to get here to tonight. We'll go ahead and finish them up here in this round. If you have a shout out that you have you like to get in, you haven't heard it yet, get that on the submission form. I'll pop that link back here into the chat for you. There's the link. So if you have a shout out you'd like to submit, make sure you get those in, and we'll do the next round here. The next hour we do ours from what we did this week. David Harden, Warner Robins, Georgia, got 4 new stations this week. WPBS in Conyers, and then WFAM in Augusta, WHO in Des Moines, nice. WQMV in Waverly, Tennessee, and Said, staying on one frequency, the dominant station will fade and another station takes its place. My man, you are not saying lies there. It is a great technique. Sometimes you just sit there and let that station ride out, and then they'll fade, and then someone else will take their place. Good job, my friend, this week on 4 new logs from Warner Robins, Georgia. And going back down to Mexico for Mexico Mike P. New logs this week was receiving KAHL on 1310 out of San Antonio with the song On My Own from Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald. Under XETIA, man, I wanted them, and Guadalajara, and XEAM, also one of them too. New station from his place, getting San Antonio, my friend. There you go, buddy. Well done, and we love having our friends to the south of the border here join us each week, so appreciate you guys being here. All right, so we've talked about the Kiwi. We're going to talk about some FM autologgers here in a minute, but before we do, I do want to take a really quick second to do a little plug here, just because I think it's relevant. Now, this is not completely self-serving. This is also very valuable information. So the new Spectrum Monitor magazine for April 2024 is now on the streets. And what you're going to find there is a lot of great information. They're talking next-gen TV for the United States. There's some RSP 1B review in here and a couple other things as well. Some talk about the solar eclipse, things like that. There's a couple things that I want to make sure I kind of pointed out. Number one, there's a new Bits and Bytes column from Gail Van Horn, W4GVH, talking about Asia, Africa, India radio programming on shortwave and medium wave. So she'll be popping in some station announcements and things like that for both shortwave and medium wave, just that kind of collection of stuff that she gathers from all of her different sources, because you know she's got a ton. And this is the other one I want to make sure I kind of point out here as well. My column for this month, you know, I do every 3 months or so, I do an AM or FM DX column. This one, we're DXing las estaciones de radio in Mexico. So we're going deep diving into DXing Mexico in the article this month. We're talking about the national anthem, La Hora Nacional. We're talking about what to listen for, when to listen for. We're talking all the tips and tricks. We're talking a little history. So make sure you check out the Spectrum Monitor magazine. That is thespectrummonitor.com. I'll drop the link here in the chat. So if you guys are interested, there's a couple of options that you have here. You can obviously buy just the issue by itself, and it is $3 for just this one issue. You can also subscribe, and to do so for $24 gets you 12 months. So that's actually $2 an issue if you subscribe to the entire year, and $3 an issue if you buy them ad hoc. So I recommend, if you are a DXer, I definitely recommend that you do this, because not only every 3 months you're going to get me in there talking AM and FM DX and some stuff that I do more deep dive into that I don't talk about here, or even on the YouTube channel, but also you'll get other stuff as well, shortwave, utilities, military communications, all kinds of stuff. So thespectrummonitor.com, make sure you check it out. The newest edition just hit the streets today. It's the April 2024 edition, and it's available here at thespectrummonitor.com. And then there's the individual issue right there. Look at that. How pretty that is. There should be a DX Central logo right there in the middle of those color bars, though. We need to tweak that a little bit. Just kidding. All right, so let's talk on some FM autologgers. So you guys know I have one here at DX Central that I use, and I'm a big fan of it. I've talked about this before. Why I'm a big fan of it is because it's DXing even when I'm not able to. So when I'm asleep, if I'm out at the store, you know, summertime, what happens invariably, you're sitting there in the house and you're waiting for an e-skip opening to pop open, and it never happens. And then you go run to the store, or you have a little outing for the family or whatever it might be. You get out of the house, you're cutting grass, you're working around, whatever it might be, doing, you know, pressure washing, whatever. That's when the e-skip hit. And then by the time you get back in, it's gone. Happens all the time. It used to happen to me in Charleston all the time. You don't have to worry about that. With an autologger, what it basically does is it scans the FM band from 88.1 all the way up, or whatever frequency range you want to scan on the FM band. If you want to go a bit lower, looking for some of those maybe out of US stuff, it'll scan the entire FM band looking for FM radio stations and their RDS information. And what it basically does then is if it captures an RDS and decodes that RDS information, from the FM radio station. RDS, by the way, Radio Data Systems, is the little, usually a 4-digit alphanumeric code, 4-character, I guess, alphanumeric code that many stations will transmit along with their FM radio signal that identifies who they are. There's usually a unique code for each station in a lot of cases, and they'll also put things like, the title and the artist and maybe the station name, stuff like that. It'll actually take that information, decode it. When it gets that little code, that little PI code, it will then, in this particular setup with Autologger with rabbit ears, it'll actually then compare to the WTFDA, the Worldwide TV FMDX Association, with their list of known PI codes, and says, what you got? And those, I think that's pretty much at least North and South America. I haven't looked to see if there's anything outside of that, but they're like Europeans and stuff, but I know North and South America definitely is covered in the WTFDA. It'll look for those codes on that frequency, and if it finds a match, guess what? It puts it on this map here for you. It tells you, what time you logged it and everything else. So if I am out and about doing some stuff and I don't have a chance to do that DX while that opening is happening, I don't worry about missing out because Autologger's got me covered. How well does it do? Well, this is all the stuff that's captured since we've been talking, because I just restarted right before the stream started. This is what it's caught since I put the thing in operation last year. Down into Mexico, you see that down there on the west coast of Mexico? That was back in January. Would have completely missed that if I hadn't had the Autologger running. A lot of these, now some of these I did also capture during the event, so the Autologger told me something was going on, and then I went and looked, and I was able to get more stuff. But some of these I wouldn't have gotten anything. Some of the, like the Arkansas here, this Arkansas station here, and this one right here, I would not have gotten either one of those had I not had the Autologger, because I didn't hear those live. But are there some times when you might get a false decode? Potentially. Those are usually pretty easy to spot. But there's a possibility that some of those might happen. But again, you can usually kind of sort that out. But more than anything, what I like to use this for, even like, I know Rick likes to get that ID. He likes to hear the content. He likes to have the experience, right? That's totally fine. But what this does for me is it lets me know when that thing is happening. So even if I'm not going to take the information here and put it in my logbook, I do. Even if I wasn't going to take this information and put it in my logbook, I at least can use this as a way to give me an alert that, hey, something's going on. Maybe I need to go check this out real quick. So this can be kind of an early warning system of a tropo or e-skip opening for you, right? So a couple of things you want to check out. There are two different versions. There is a version if you're going to be using SDR Console, which is a little more complicated. You have to have virtual serial ports and things like that. I don't have a lot of detail on that one because I don't use that one. I'll pop a link though here in the chat for some folks to use on how to get that set up from our friend DX Sphere. So I'm going to pop this link in the chat here. This talks about SDR Console. And then for the rest of it, let me get you. Does he have? He didn't put the link in here. Come on, Les. Maybe he did. I mean, he didn't. You can view active. Oh, yes, he did. Hold on, let me get this out of here. No, he didn't. He just put the link for the overall thing. I'll find my link on the other version. There's SDR Console, which you can use with whatever SDR you're using in console. And then the other version is SDR Sharp. That's what I use. And my AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. And I have a simple dipole antenna. A simple FM dipole sitting about 21 feet in the air. And that's my RDS Autologger. And it's scanning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it logs whatever it finds. And so you'll need two things. You'll need either the SDR console setup I just put the link in for. For SDR Sharp, there is a plugin, an SDR auto logging plugin that you'll need. And then once that is installed, then you would need an account set up with rabbit ears. So I'll put their link in here in the chat as well, because there's a link for them directly. I think if I have that handy, I'll find that and put that in here. This is the overall map. It's a little sparse right now because it's not the middle of the season, right? We're not in the middle of FM season, so not everybody's got theirs up and running. This gets very full in the summertime, with especially all the different catches that are coming in. But you can catch meteor scatter this way. You know, if you get a big meteor scatter, big meteor burst coming in, get you a meteor scatter catch. I've got a couple meteor scatters I would have never gotten because they happened when I was snoozing away. But you'll need a Rabbit Ears account. You give them your contact, your location information, and then they set you up with a link that's unique to you, an account number that's unique to you. They give you a little something to download onto your computer that ties in with either console or SDR Sharp, whichever one you're using. And then it does the rest, and it automatically takes care of all of it for you. So I am a huge fan of these auto loggers. I also have one for my TV DX that does exactly the same thing. Uses an HD home run box in my living room connected to my TV antenna, and it just continuously scans the TV, the channels from low into high, and it's looking for any catches. And let me see, I haven't looked at this in a while because, again, we're out of season, but yeah, that's what it's seen for, the entire time that I've had it. This is what it's seeing right now, because we're not really in very good season right now for TVDX, but this is what it's seeing right now. Not strong signals either, but this is what the TV scanner caught since I put it up last year. Look at that. Down into the border area, up into Dallas. TVDX. You can still get some good TVDX, my friend. You can do it the old-fashioned way, looking for stuff during an opening. You can definitely do that. Those HD home run boxes are great for that because they're great receivers, and you can do it on your computer. You can manually kind of scan the channels looking for stuff. But the easiest way, definitely the easiest way to do this is this. It's an auto logger type setup. So Rabbit Ears, the website is rabbitears.info. They have information up there on both the FM and the TV DX. So rabbitears.info is where you want to go for information on how to get these auto loggers set up. And that will get you going here. There you go. I am, like I said, even if you're not going to take this stuff and put it in a logbook, even if you're using it as an early warning system, if you're using it to serve the community, to kind of give folks a chance to kind of see what's going on, because a lot of folks, they'll take this map right here, the reception map that we popped up earlier, the full everyone map, they'll take that and they'll just take a look at it, right? So you have your FM list map that shows openings as well, but those are usually just for like eSkip, right? Maybe sometimes you can see some Tropo stuff as well, but this is another great way to compare maybe what you're seeing on the FM list map and see if it's legit, or compare this to the FM list map to this to see if this is legit, right? So it's all about having these different tools in our toolbox that we can use to get DX into the logbook, either directly or indirectly by using this as a tool, and then going and doing your DX the old-fashioned normal way that you might do. Okay, so my plea to you all is this: whether, like I said, whether you're going to log these stations that you decode or not, at the very least, put one up. You'd be amazed at how much you catch. It's a great lesson in propagation. It's a great lesson in how these events actually happen and kind of what mechanics are that are happening within them. And it's just kind of cool. It's kind of fun to wake up in the morning and be like, I love it this summer. What did I catch overnight? Oh, wow, look at that. I got New Mexico. All right, let's do this. You'd be amazed at what you catch. And so, yeah, that's my spiel, is to go get yourself you can use an RTL SDR dongle, I think, right? Because you can use that in SDR Sharp. You can use an RTL SDR dongle if you don't want to buy a new AirSpy or something like that. If you don't have the money for that, that's fine. An RTL SDR dongle is better than nothing. You put that sucker into SDR Sharp, follow the instructions they send you, and you're good to go. So hopefully you guys see the power and the benefit of what these can do for FMDX as well. And especially during the summer when there's Tropo, when there's eSkip, these things are invaluable resources to have. All right, so that's my plea. I am not using console. I am using SDR Sharp for my auto logger. And actually, let me show you my auto logger. I'll just bring it up here on screen so you guys can have a chance, because this is actually, I'm going to toy with trying to use a FMDX stream this year. I've never been able to do a consistent FMDX stream during openings because I was always afraid of getting hit with the copyright strikes on the channel. I can't afford to lose the channel, but I've been doing some testing, and I think I can get away with this and do it as long as I'm not like streaming like a large portion of music. But like this is 4 seconds at a time, so it sits on the frequency for 4 seconds, goes to the next.
Your first call for financing land.
Sits on 4, goes to the next. Sits for 4 seconds.
1568
Goes to the next, right? So that's it. That's my auto logger right there, just scanning the frequencies, and it starts at 88.1 and it goes up to 107.9, then it comes back around. You can you can scan and identify what your local stations are, and you can tell it to skip those if you want to kind of increase your efficiency. I tend to not do that during a big opening just because I want to make sure that I'm, if there's a local that's getting replaced by a distant station, which does happen during e-skip openings and things like that, I want to know that, because A, that's a chance for me to log something I never would have heard otherwise on that frequency, and B, it can be, wow, if it's replacing my locals, that's a big opening, we need to go over here and check that out, right? So that's the SDR Sharp scanner going right there. I used to use 7 seconds for my hold on my scan, my delay, before I would go to the next frequency. But I think as long as I'm under 5 seconds, I'll be okay if I do the live stream with, 4 seconds of audio. I don't think I'll get hit with that. We'll see. Like I said, I've been doing some testing. I'll continue to do that between now and FM season. But that's the auto logger right there. Dennis says, I don't think you can skip stations using SDR Console. I don't know for sure. I know this plugin for SDR Sharp. I tried working with Console and making it work, and I couldn't get it to work. I was going to use my Elad FDM S3. Glad I didn't. That would have been a waste. You wanted to use that one because that has the entire band. I didn't want to waste that entire band visibility on a scanner that can be done off of any SDR. So yeah, there you go. Rick, I know about the central time back here. Yeah, I got to fix that. I just haven't gotten around to it because it's kind of finicky. This clock is, once you set it. Plus the time is probably a little off. The minutes and seconds are a little off. Oh, you still have to scan the entire band using Console. I do love SDR consoles too. I love that program. It's great for DX. I don't use it as much as I used to. I'm kind of really super into SDR Sharp right now. With the code channel canceller and stuff like that. That's been really, really nice. And now, obviously, with the Kiwi, I've been doing a lot of Kiwi stuff. So, yeah. Let me... There we go. All right, let's go up here and get ready for another top of the hour sequence. So we got some more Live DX. Of course, this hour of Live DX is being brought to you by International Radio Club of America, ircaonline.org. All righty. Let's go live here on 680. Start with the Perseus, and then we'll come back over to the Kiwi here in a second. And I'm going to pop in the Kiwi link here. That way, in case anybody wants to use that. Here we go. Blazer Bobcat with a question here. What advice do you have for DXers who are currently in a condo or apartment or other indoor housing, but still want to use an SDR or other auto logger? Fantastic question. There is a antenna that you can put together. I put one up. It's in my attic right now. They're actually not too hard to put together. You can use, like, I used wooden dowels for mine, but you can also use, that's what you actually see in the preview video before you, where the live stream starts. You actually see me building on the Faulkner loop. This is called the Faulkner FM loop antenna. I'm going to put a couple of different pages if I can find the other one I used to use here. Is this it? I don't think that's the right one. I think that might be the one page that I just put in the chat. I think it's the one I've used before. I think that's probably the best. So you can do, there is like an omnidirectional Stellar Labs antenna that you can use. A dipole, Centerfire is a great one. I've got, actually, I think I did this bookmark here. on my... Let me do this. I'm just going to give you guys a link here. This link is my FMDX link tree. It has all of my FM stuff that I use during the season. It's got all my software stuff like SDR Console, SDR Sharp, all the different places that I look for like current conditions, like the APRS map, all that kind of stuff. And in here is a section for antennas. And there's also a section on SDRs. But there's a section on antennas. There's a link in here for the Faulkner loop, which is the one I put in there. There's a link for the FM band outdoor dipole, which you can also maybe use like on a balcony or something like that if you want. And there's also the Stellar Labs omnidirectional. So all of those that I'm about to talk about are in that link tree list. The Faulkner, if you're going to build this one, it's super easy to do. I put it together and I'm terrible at building stuff. I used wooden dowels that I got at the hardware store and some glue and some nails, and then wrapped that in coax, and that was it. So it works really, really well. It's just a one element, basically it's a one element quad loop antenna, and it works really, really well. I've got, like I said, I got one up in my attic right now, plugged into my Sony XDR F1 HD that I use for HD scans when there's an opening. And it works super, super great. It is bi-directional, so you may need to kind of turn it or whatever, have a little stand for it to sit on, but it's a fantastic option for you. You can pack away. I've got one over here behind my door right now that I also pull in here to the shack for portable use and in the yard and stuff. So it's great. It's a really, really good antenna. You can build a PVC version if you want to do something, keep it outdoors. So that's an option. There's also the dipole. That's what I'm using on my auto logger. You can maybe mount that to a stick on a balcony or something if you wanted to. There is the omnidirectional FM antenna from Stellar Labs. That can also be an option that you put indoors. Again, maybe put on a PVC pipe for a mount, or PVC for a mast or whatever. Or you can put on a balcony. Anything you can put outdoors and up high is going to be best for FM. But if you forced to kind of keep everything indoors, those are probably the ones that I would look at. You can maybe get by with one of those little wired dipoles or something like that if you have nothing else. It's gonna be okay for eSkip. You'll at least be able to get some eSkip stuff that way. Not super great for Tropo, but at least it might get you going. You're not gonna have crazy results. Maybe eSkip again might be your best bet for something like that. But if you can get something maybe on a balcony, that's ideal. Something that's a little outdoors can get to those signals, because anything you have between you and the signal, any kind of walls or anything, even leaves. My dipole is in a tree where there's leaves, so during the summertime it's not as good as it is right now. So even leaves can impact those FM signals, not as much as like higher up in the VHF UHF band, but it can still impact those, attenuate just a little bit. So if you're able to get something on a balcony, that's ideal. But if not, then one of those options inside would also work really well. If you're looking to do a little auto logging or FMDXing from inside. I also highly recommend the TEF6686 that you can get from AliExpress. That's a really, really good FM radio. It's got an SMA connector with a telescopic whip. Works fine. But I absolutely love that radio. So if you have nothing else, and you can't run an SDR, you can't run any kind of external kind of antenna or whatever, that little TEF6686 portable is fantastic for FMDX. Absolutely fantastic. All right. Mike P says, does our Kiwi have any restrictions? Yes. There are only 4 channels available. 2 of those are going to be set aside, one for mom, one for myself. The other 2 are for public use. Most people have 1 set aside for themselves, but I got mom over there across the street. I got mine over here. So we have 2 channels reserved, and then 2 channels that are open for everybody. So David's Radio Room says, I have a discone that covers the FM band. Discones are great antennas on VHF especially. Jacob says you might have Columbia coming in on 680. Let's take a look at that now on our Kiwi, because it's a little early, but let's go ahead and fire this off. Top of the hour time frame means it's looking for some IDs at the top of the hour here on the AM band. We're going to start off here on the Kiwi on 680 and see if maybe we are hearing Columbia here on our Kiwi SDR.
Second quarter. okay for breakfast.
That's an interesting one.
Now we're having to put this into lower sideband here
Tastes like chicken.
because on 690,
a little tougher chicken. It's actually pretty good.
That we
I've
may
got a
be made
local.
worthy of the promises of Christ.
Breakfast sausage or...
So there's the slop from them on the upper side. Now we're going to throw this back in the lower sideband. I'm not hearing any Latin stations here.
Probably bacon over breakfast sausage, but I wouldn't be mad at either.
Throw those three at them, right? And then I can't wait to watch tomorrow morning and listen right here on ESPN.
Do you want me to flip on my very first time ever on Marty and McGee, and I will be fangirling because I listen to them every Saturday and I've had no interaction with either of those guys. You want me
Jacob
to flip
his Kiwi runs two channels open and 3-channel wideband. I tried that out last night. It's pretty cool.
Radio coming up next here, Game Night with Q Myers and Jonathan Dowd.
It's pretty cool. That wideband mode.
He is a beast. He is one of one. He is a dynamic weapon, and he will help the Ravens get back to that point where they have a chance to get over the hump this time. I love the sign.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Texting enrolls you in reoccurring automated text messages.
So my guess is this is Atlanta again.
Hey Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Or it is Memphis, one of the two. Hey Mason, Mike.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total.
Let's look at 670 and see how loud the belly is. David says, maybe before the season ends, we can discuss how to identify Mexican stations. My Spanish is not great, but I am not hearing IDs. Absolutely. Definitely. If you have the opportunity to do so, grab you a copy of this month's Spectrum Monitor. I talk about that. I talk a little bit about how to identify those stations. You'll also want to check out this guy. Here. I'm going to put in the chat. This is the Mexican log. There are some tips on how to listen to like the Spanish alphabet. So like X, A, Q, what that would be, things like that, like what to listen for. And some good times to listen for stations specifically from Mexico to distinguish them from like Cuba and Colombia and stuff like that. Take care, Carl. Yeah, if you hear that XA, something. No, one letter or two letters after that. You got Mexico. You hear the Mexican national anthem? You got Mexico. So that's Cuba Faux Show. Up to a 37 dB signal to noise ratio overall, 26 on the higher end of the band, of the spectrum. Hota Bay, 570. Yeah, that static's pretty raucous tonight on the south side. Let's see, how do we look on this lightning map right now? Because we're right here at the top of the hour. That's what we're trying to get through. Like the antenna pointing right at all that. Yeah, we've got a great community of native Spanish speakers or those who are fluent that can definitely help. I turn to them constantly. And as you get more exposure and more practice, you'll find you'll pick up more stuff. Try to listen to stations purposely that are Spanish to try to pick up some stuff and see what you can grab. I'm always going to Mike J, asking him for help. He's gonna start charging me soon. My guess is we got Progresso in here. Yeah, 650, we've got some Progresso in there. Colombia is also a possibility. Antenna Dos out of Colombia is a possibility on 650 from time to time. But more than likely, if you hear Spanish on 650, it's usually going to be Progresso first. There is a station down in Yucatan, by the way, Mike, XEVG. I don't know if they're still on the air, but I have heard them here. So that could be your Yucatan possibility here. $2.5K. We're a community that helps each other here, man. We're all in this together. So let's demonstrate this channel null for you really quick. We're going to put this in Sam. Yeah, that's Temple Terrace WQBN on, was it 1300, I think? I thought I had Mexico. No, I did not. He was able to help me confirm I actually had a station in Florida. It was a station I'd never heard before, so I loved it because I got a new station, new log, but it was definitely not who I thought it was. And he was able to help make sure that I was on the right track for that. So yeah, we help each other out around here for sure. Absolutely. All right, so here's what I would do with this channel null, which is the code channel canceller for Kiwi. So I go to my audio tab. Down here at the bottom, I just choose, let's try null LSB. It's definitely kind of bringing it down a little bit. You can start to hear what's probably Ecuador underneath. USB. Even if it can't get rid of him entirely, if it can knock him down enough or allow that other station enough room to kind of squeeze in, you're doing something good. You're doing something good. Yeah, look at all that lightning, man. That's just rough stuff. Let's go over here. Luckily, it's not here, so I don't have to unplug anything. But it's just rough stuff here. To have to kind of listen through it. So WSB here on the Perseus at the top of the hour. $660, what do we have? Take care, David. There's KSKY. Now that Fairhope is going to bed. 670 was the Rebeldy Wall, I'm sure. Maybe a little SCR in there. Take care, Haley. That would have been MFS in there. So yeah, 650 to 680. Gonna be a fun week. There's not a lot. There's not a ton there. It's a light week, and there's really there's 4 frequencies in there, but they're not really packed. And there's some dominant stuff in there for a lot of us on a couple of those frequencies. But it's the possibility. It's what could be lurking in the shadows that we might be able to get that maybe might not be so common. That's the thrill for me this week that I'll be chasing after. All right, so we've take a look one more time here at the shout out list, see if anybody else has come in with anything. Looks like nope. So we will do our shout outs here from Mandeville, and then send you guys down the DX rabbit hole and see what you can catch this week on 650 to 680. So let me pull up my logbook here. And let's take a look at everything since today's 22nd, right? So since the 15th, we've had a decent week. It's been 10. We got 10 new wins this week. So I'll start off from the bottom and work my way up. So WTLS in Tallahassee and WXLG in Lexington. You guys heard that live when we were doing the announcement. We first started doing the 1300, 1330. We heard those two here on channel in the middle of the live stream. But then I'll come back to that one. I'll come back to the big one. WYRD Greenville on 1330. KCKM in Monahans, Texas on 1330. WWTC Minneapolis, Minnesota on 1280. Man, Jacob, you came through for me, my friend. Thank you so much for your assist on that one. That's the one that the Kiwis made happen. Was me actually getting a Minnesota station. I've only had 2. I had WCCO and KTSP. That was all I had before now. So, and plus, also, not only did they get me another Minnesota station, which I desperately wanted, it also got 1280. I have a goal to get every frequency to 5 stations logged or more. I have 2 frequencies that were left this week, 870 and 1280. Those are the only 2 frequencies where I don't have 5 or more stations logged. Now 1280 is done. So all I got left is 870. I don't know how I'm going to get around WWL, but whatever. KAHL in San Antonio was new for us this week, 1310. QBN 1300 in Temple Terrace. We got that one in. WKDA 11 in Tennessee on 900. Random, just kind of snuck by it as I was moving the needle on the SDR and came across it, and there it was. Radio Encyclopedia on 1310. That was an interesting one. Weak as hell last night. Before we had to pull everything because of the storms, but we did, or the night before, we did definitely hear 1310 Encyclopedia paralleling 530. Weak, but there they were. And the big one of the week, the one that, man, when this happened, got me jazzed. I was so excited. I didn't think I had a shot at this particular Estado de Mexicano, but they came through, and let's play it for you now. I got the air check here that I'll play.
Message from...
Stop that. So let's go ahead and listen here, and I'll put it up on screen once this advertisement stops here. Ready? Here we go. So the sequence was, I heard the Mexican national anthem, right? That was the first thing that I heard. And then it was at a time, it was kind of off like 18 after the hour, and it was at the time zone of the Pacific time zone. So I was very intrigued on who that might be. And sure enough, it was XEPRS in Rosarito, Baja California. Never thought I would be getting Baja California from Mandeville. The best shot I thought I had was XEPE on 1700, but guess what? We got a local TIS on that frequency that kind of blows it away. So didn't think that was going to happen, but we got it. There it is. So we're going to start off with that first. Yes, sir. And we'll throw this chainsaw action in here as well. There we go. We got another mic now. We got Colorado Mike. We got Mike in Mexico. We got Mike P in Mexico. Mike J in Mexico. We got Mike in Virginia. And we got a Mike in Colorado. All the Michaels dig DX Central Live, apparently. Welcome to the channel, my friend. Welcome to the live stream. Glad to have you here. Appreciate you being here. So that was the week that we had here this week. A new Mexican state that puts us at 20. Was it 21 or 22? Or maybe 23. I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's another new Mexican state for us. So we've got, I think, 9 left. I think it was 23 because now I've got 9 left. Because there's 32 Mexican states to shoot for, and I got 9 down left. So if you need Baja California, that's a good option for you. Listen around 2 o'clock in the morning Central Time, 3 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Central, and obviously midnight Pacific. And listen for XEPRS, and they'll play the Mexican national anthem, and then there's an ID in English, because it's right there on the border. They're an ESPN outlet, so should be easy to hear. I heard them on the West Wire. So for those of you who have propagation in that direction, give them a shot. You never know what you might be able to snag. That's going to probably do it for tonight. We got all the storms off the coastline, so the conditions down south that I was hoping would materialize aren't really happening right now. So we'll put a pin in that and come back to it. And obviously, as we continue to do our live streams for the rest of the season, we'll be bringing that Kiwi back and hopefully getting some great Latin American and DX out of that. And as always, you guys are more than welcome to jump on there. I put the link in the chat earlier. You can jump on that Kiwi whenever you'd like and listen in from Mandeville and hear what conditions sound like down here. For the folks at the National Radio Club, the International Radio Club of America, and T Publishing, rather. We appreciate you being here for another great week of DX and DX Central Live. Take care. Enjoy 650 to 680, my friends. Have a great rest of your week. Great DX, and we'll see you next Friday right here on DX Central Live.
This is DX Central Live.